Hi, this is Nancy McClelland, and I want to work on a project today that is using my blending brushes to colorize the paper under the stencil. This is the Altenew Diamond Snowflake stencil out of one of their recent collections that they just put out. I'm also working with the new camera setup. I'm sorry there's a little bit of shaking. We're trying to figure all this out. But I wanted to show you a couple of the cards that I put together. The ink that I'm using for this is the Green Valley collection from Altenew, and I use the Firefly on the top. Then I'm going to be using the Grass Fields in the center, and then I'll use the Mountain Pine. I pretty much omitted the Shadow Creek. I felt that I didn't need it once I put this Grass Fields in. And I'm colorizing this with a gradient effect, light to dark. And it'll be a little bit lighter at the top and then darker at the bottom. This panel is going to have a diagonal cut to it to kind of have a little interest with the shape and the look of the card to follow along with my modern theme that I've had. So I'm finishing up here at the bottom, putting in that dark ink, and it looks really nice. I'm very excited about that, but putting all this color on and blending it in with the medium color. Then I'm going to go back up and grab a little bit of that Grass Fields because it's got a little bit more yellow tone to it. It's a little brighter color. So we'll add some of that and bring it back down into the bottom. Again, sorry for the little bit of shaking on the camera. I am working on my new Altenew, Tim Holtz travel mat. So I love this mat. Hopefully it doesn't give you too much of a glare also. But I'm wiping my brush off just a little bit to get some of that depth off because I want to still get some color, but I want it to be rather a little bit lighter at the top. So I'm just going to smooth all that out, finish it up, get a good blend on there, move my inks to the side, and we will see what our reveal is going to be on this. I'm excited with this. It's a fun stamp. It's an easy stamp. It's just a really pretty stamp. So we take that off of there. I've used purple tape to secure it to the back side. And this is actually on some Nina Solar white paper, classic crust. So now what I'm going to do is make a cut from my trimmer from diagonal. So I have made the first cut, and I've also trimmed about a ½ inch, about a ¼ inch really off of each piece so that I've got my two diagonal corners there. So I've decided now that it's probably not as easy for you to see these on my black mat because they have a black card base. So I'm just going to move them onto my Altenew silicone mat. So you can see that the top one is a little bit lighter than the bottom one, and then I've already pre-cut the strip that I'm going to put in between them. So we have a black card base, and we're doing those black accents around the pieces. So I can just glue these two pieces on. I looked at popping them up, and it really didn't gain any effect by popping up any of these pieces. So they're going to be directly glued down, and it's just a small 1/8 of an inch border around these. You could trim them even smaller if you wanted a larger border of the black, but I decided to keep it a little bit just streamlined and just that little hint of the black around there. And then when we put the piece in the center, you'll still get two edges of black up there. So now I have, again, I'm just kind of double checking my pieces. This one's going to go in there in the center, that white piece. And I'm going to stamp a sentiment on there. And that sentiment came from the Altenew Holiday Wishes set. There's lots of fun sentiments on that. It's just jam-packed. And it says, "Happy Holidays from our home to yours." I'm just using Altenew's permanent black ink for this to get a good crisp image there. And I'm going to stamp it up, kind of up on the upper right-hand side because it's going to be at a diagonal. So we've got that's stamped, and we can adhere that to the card. And again, you could pop that up if you wanted to, but I really did not get any, I guess, from it. It really didn't, make a difference when I was putting this card together and just getting some ideas. So we're going to do a direct glue. This also makes it a little easier for mailing, and this is a really fast card to put together if you wanted to mass produce these. So I've got that on there, and I have one last little accent that we're going to do, the layered snowflake die set from Altenew. Again, I think I've used this before, and I usually cut lots of snowflakes at one time, so I have lots of them in my little stash. So I just layered some of those in a gray and a black, and I have some vellum ones in there. So I just chose some of those and I layered them together. There's a little bit of a silver one in there too, and I just directly glued it to the face of the card. So I'm going to put a little stamp block on there just to weight it down, just to get that glue to set so it doesn't move. Now I have another card that I can show you that I did and I created, and it's in the blue tones, and it's the lapis lazuli from that collection from Altenew, and it's blues. So again, same concept, I just did it in blue. You could do it in pink. You could do it in reds. There are so many things you could do. Just do a basic gray if you wanted to. So looking at the two together, I decided they needed a little more bling. I tried some clear jewels and gems, and I decided just to use some black sequins to add that accent. Again, sticking with our black tones that we've been using in my series. So I'm going to glue a couple of those on. I'm using my little jewel picker to put those on, and liquid glue. This is, I can use some bling dots that they have, like a little glue dots, but I find that a liquid glue holds my sequins on better. So that's my tip, is just use the little liquid glue. There's all kinds of it out there. Pick your favorite one. And I've put them on. I have 5 of them I'm going to put on each card, and they are going to be done. So these are my 2 cards for today, and I want to thank you for stopping, and I hope that this again gives you some inspiration to bring a little black into your cards, whether it be holiday or you use them in the future. Thanks a lot.